Right, so today I want to talk about a story out of the Edmonton Journal, and it's titled City of Edmonton Facing $565 million Lawsuit Over Virus Mandatory Mask Law. And it says an Edmonton man is suing the City of Edmonton for $565 million, citing nuisance and public health hazard created by the temporary mandatory mask bylaw. In a statement of claim filed in the Alberta Court of Queen's Bench Monday, Glenn Miller argued that the new mask law has led to an increase in the use of used masks on the city streets and created a health crisis. The mandatory mask rule effort to curb the spread of the virus came into effect on August 1st following a 10-3 vote. The bylaw is applicable in all publicly accessible and indoor spaces, including retail stores, restaurants, vehicle for hire services, and recreation facilities. By discarding of face masks with the city, knowing that it should have made known that it is unable to control the actions of people. The city has created a public health hazard for me and others. Miller is calling for city council to rescind the bylaw within 10 days, and he will terminate the legal proceedings. Otherwise, he will be seeking the money. Reached by Post Media Wednesday morning, Miller said every time he goes out now on the south side, he sees masks littered on the ground. Everywhere I go, when I walk into places like Superstore or Southgate Mall, masks are all over the place. It's unsanitary. Um, I'm not going to read the rest of it, but you can go check it out if you want. But the main point of this being is that more people should be doing this, I guess, because it's just pointless. Like it's completely pointless. The fact that so many people have gone along with this just goes to show that most people have no critical thinking skills whatsoever. I mean, it's not like we didn't already know that before, but I think it just kind of proves that if people had critical thinking skills, they would be questioning this because why now? Like seriously, why now? Um, and that is one of the many problems, but there's also the problems of there's no actual evidence that masks reduce the spread. Now the pro-mask crowd will be up in arms and throw a hissy fit when you point that out, but um, no one has pointed to a controlled study that actually proves that. Every piece of evidence that they point to as quote unquote proof is simply a correlation causation study. I don't even know if you'd want to call it that. But again, these are the same people that if you ever do that, it's, oh, correlation doesn't mean causation. I need a study to prove your point. Well, yeah, right back at you, right? So this is the problem. There's no evidence that masks have a significant effect. And here's the thing. Even if you want to argue that, the vast majority of people do not use masks properly. How do we know that? If you've ever been out in public in a group of people wearing masks, you know that most people are touching their face, which again, that's one example that makes wearing a mask completely pointless. Most people don't I mean, if you're going to touch your face or take your mask on and off, you're actually supposed to sanitize before and after. But I've literally never seen anyone do that. Again, I don't live in Edmonton, but I mean, I've been in Edmonton during this time, and I've literally never seen anyone do this. Like, not to mention, I'm in a public area almost every day. In fact, pretty much every day, and I've literally never seen anyone do this. Like, not once. So the idea of this whole mask thing, it's literally 100% just for show. It's seriously 100% for show. And not only that, too, cases have only gone up in Edmonton and in the province ever since then, or especially in the province, right? So if the masks are working, why are the cases way down? And sure enough, too, I read through, some social media posts of some of these people that, I knew would be supporting it. And here they are, oh, people aren't complying enough. They're not wearing them properly. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I told you was going to happen. Exactly what I told you was going to happen. But at the time, they were like, oh, well, even if only half the people wear them properly, that's still better than no one. Well, clearly it isn't, right? Like, clearly it isn't. So this is the thing, is that these people that are supporting this have no idea what they're talking about. Literally, like I say, no idea what they're talking about. And this is the thing too, that like again, they'll point to the whole Japan example, but again, Japan didn't lock down. Why did we have to lock down? Like, um, Sweden didn't have masks or a lockdown, and they're doing just fine. I mean, especially right now. I mean, they have next to no new cases, and especially like literally like no deaths a day, or maybe one or two at the most. So the idea that masks make the significant difference is insane. I mean, there's many states that implemented mask mandates like back in June, but their cases still went up. So the idea of masks making a significant difference is insane. Personally, I think it infringes on the rights of people as well. And this is the other big thing too when it comes with this whole mask thing, is that when does it end? Like, when does it end? Like, this is the big problem, that if you're going to do something like this, I would assume, again, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but does there not have to be a sunset clause involved? And again, that being, um, you know, the if it hasn't already been rescinded, the bylaw is over on what X date, right? And the fact that there isn't that just goes to show that I think that this is going to happen for quite a while going forward. And this is the thing too, that you talk to these kind of people, and the average person thinks, oh yeah, we're only going to have to wear masks for maybe a few months, maybe to the end of winter at the most. That's not that bad. But you talk to some of these mask, crazy people, and it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be the new normal. Like, literally, like, for years these. And again, this is the other thing too, is that um remember 15 days to slow the spread and all this kind of stuff. um yeah, I mean, they tell you it's going to be to the end of winter with masks. If you equate for the 15 days to slow the spread, we're going to be wearing masks for the rest of our lives at this point. So that is the thing too. And this is the thing too, that again, masks have plenty of downside too. There is negative health effects of masks. Now again, this is another thing that these people will dispute, but again, the evidence is very clear of it. It's not as good for your teeth and your health within your mouth, whatever you want to call that. It's harder to breathe. You can get headaches. You can get infections. There is plenty of things. Not to mention too, it downregulates your immune system. Now again, people will deny that, but again, you don't need to be an expert to know that not exposing yourself to a normal amount of bacteria in your day-to-day life will downregulate your immune system. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be an epidemiologist. You don't need to be any of this to know that. It's just basic common sense. If you had two twins, one, you literally locked them in a room, never let them out of there in their entire life, and released them into the public at 18 years old or 20 years old or whatever, and the other one you went and live about a normal life. Which one's going to have a stronger immune system? Well, of course it's the one that's been out in public. So again, and this is the thing too, the people debating that the whole mask thing doesn't have negative health effects, they're literally saying that there would be no difference in that example. We know there is differences. This is why the natives were so susceptible to the diseases that the Europeans had when they came over. It's because the natives had no immunity to it, and it wasn't bad for the Europeans because they had immunity to it. So again, they're literally debating something that's just basic common sense, right? Like, basic common sense. They're trying to debate you on. This is the thing too, that again, these people have lost all credibility. Like, seriously lost all credibility. And this guy seems to go at it more from the different aspect of, I would be going at it from the aspect of, this whole mask mandate is completely unnecessary. Like, it's completely unnecessary too. And you do see plenty of these masks just laying around. Like, people just toss them to the side. Like, and that's another problem too. That again, these people are so supposedly so worried about the environment, but how many landfills are we going to fill up with these masks, right? Like, how many? Like, again, this is the thing too, that again, these people, they make up their argument as they go along. That's why it's so easy to disprove everything they say, because they literally make up their argument as they go along. But I mean, I guess long story short here, to sum it up, I'm happy stuff like this is going on. More people should be doing this, because the whole mask mandate, it's stupid. Like, it's completely stupid. It's completely unnecessary. There's no evidence that they work. And here's the thing: if there was evidence, they would simply point to the studies that actually prove it. They wouldn't simply point to correlation causation articles, right? Like, they would do that. And the other thing too, that you point out to these people, oh well, when we first got into this, the quote unquote experts told us that masks don't work. Well, they tell us, oh, the science changed. Well, number one, science doesn't change on a dime like that. You don't go from masks don't work to masks not only do they work, but they work so good that we need to force people to wear them. That's Scientific evidence does not change that fast. I don't care what anybody tells you. Like, you don't go from, like, the biggest scientific advancement being fire to like a year later, yep, we now have computers, we now have electricity. We like no, like that's not how it works. Like it takes a while. So again, this is the thing too, and this is the other thing too, that is this whole virus situation the first virus that's happened in human history where we've known about masks? Like no, it clearly hasn't. So show me a study or an example from previous examples, whether it's SARS, whether it's I don't know if Ebola would qualify because it's a little different form, but there's got to be other examples of this that they can point to that proves their point. And again, the fact that they don't do that just goes to show that there is no evidence. And this is the thing too, that the reason why this is so hotly contested is that this is largely a political issue. You have, I mean, take perfect example. Joe Biden is one of the main running points he's running on is if I get elected, there'll be a national mask mandate, which I think is clearly unconstitutional, will get shot down. But nonetheless, he's running on that. So again, it's not just this controversy. It's a political issue, right? Like, and whenever something's a political issue, that it's going to get heated. So that's the thing. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Um, I've talked enough. So if you like the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, on BitChute, and on Parler. All those links are in the description, so you can find them all there.